Welcome to Edukemy. This is the video in the geography optional and we are discussing the question that what is Medicane? So the question of the day is what are Medicane? What are Medicane? And how do you differentiate them from the warm core cyclone? So what are Medicane and how do you differentiate them from the warm core tropical cyclone? So we already know that the cyclones, these are tertiary cyclostrophic system. They are tertiary system, local system, cyclostrophic system, right? We already know this, and we know that there are two types of cyclostrophic systems. One is the warm core cyclone, which is the tropical cyclone, and we know there is cold core cyclone. But recently in news was Medicane. Okay, this was there in the Mediterranean Sea, so it was there in the news recently. So that is why we have framed a question on what is Medicane and how do you differentiate them from the warm core tropical cyclone. Now with this, let's first understand what is Medicane. So Medicane is nothing but, you can split the name, that is Mediterranean hurricane. Okay, so cyclostrophic system in the Mediterranean region. Okay, you have Medicane, and these are also low pressure systems. Like any cyclone, these are also low pressure system. So the Medicanes are low pressure system, structurally similar to tropical cyclone, and they are developed in the Mediterranean region. So in the Mediterranean region, the low pressure system, they are called as the Medicane. Okay, Medicane, that is the low pressure system in the Mediterranean region. Now let's firstly understand this in brief about the Medicane, and then we will explain you about what is the difference between Medicane and the tropical cyclone. Okay, what is the difference between Medicane and tropical cyclone can be done later on. Now first understand the Medicane. So here the Medicane are what? These are the extratropical hurricane. These are the extratropical hurricane. They are not similar to that of the tropical cyclones. They are extratropical hurricanes. We know Mediterranean region lies somewhere around 35 to 40. So these are found here in the Mediterranean region. They are not found in the tropical zone. Therefore, they are the extratropical hurricane that brings with it the high wind. It is high winds are involved, high waves are involved, and torrential rainfall is involved. So high winds, high waves, and the torrential rainfall are involved, which risk the flooding of this area. So the area has the risk of flooding because of the torrential rainfall, and they occur in comparatively more colder water than the tropical cyclone. So the water are comparatively colder than the tropical cyclone, hurricanes or typhoons, right? And hence they are comparatively cold. They are comparatively cold than the warm core tropical cyclone. And we already know in the tropical cyclone, we have one of the conditions for the formation of tropical cyclone is high wind shear, which is low pressure at the bottom and a high pressure near the tropopause. So this is they should have well developed low pressure on the ground and a well developed high pressure on the tropopause, near the tropopause. This is the well developed wind shear. As compared to this, in the Medicane, this wind shear is not well established. They have comparatively weak wind shear. That is the difference between the low pressure at the low level, at the ground level, and the upper level high pressure. So this difference between the high pressure and low pressure is more developed in the tropical cyclone. But in the Medicane, the difference between low pressure and high pressure is not very stark. Therefore, they have comparatively weak wind shear in the Medicane, and the tropical cyclone have comparatively high wind shear. See, so this is the difference between the Medicane and the tropical cyclone. This is the area that is affected. You can see Athens, the Rome, Istanbul, okay, the Mediterranean Sea region and the formation of the Medicane. Okay, now with this, if you want to study something extra on Medicaid, the model answer that we will share with you will suffice. But in case you want to study something extra, there are some links that you can read. We will be sharing this document with you, so you can click on these links and read about these links. This was in news and there was down to earth article there, so you can read about them. Now, coming on to the main question. The main question is, what is Medicaid and how do you differentiate them between the warm core tropical cyclone and the Medicaid? So Medicaid are what? These are the Mediterranean hurricane. They are also low pressure system. They are found in the Mediterranean region. Are they similar to tropical cyclone? No. What is the difference? We saw two difference. One difference was they have comparatively low wind shear. Medicaid have comparatively low wind shear. Medicaid and tropical cyclone, they are comparatively cooler, they are warm core, and we also saw that they have comparatively weak wind shear. They have comparatively weak wind shear and they have strong wind shear. They have strong wind shear. What is wind shear? The difference between the low pressure at the ground level and the high pressure at the near the tropopause. So this is the Medicaid. Here, you know, in geography answers, after the introduction, there should be your diagram. So what is the diagram? What is the diagram that you can draw? You can show the regions of tropical cyclone. So here you can draw a world map and then you can show that this is where cyclone is there. You can write an example like Taukte. Then this is where you will have Willy Willy near Australia. You will have Willy Willy, okay, near Queensland. This is where you have hurricane, and there's an in the Atlantic Ocean, the tropical cyclones are known as hurricane. This is an example of Katrina, and this is the place of the Medicanes. So you can write an examples about the locations where we are having the cyclones, the locations and the cyclones that you can write. Now, the question was, what is Medicaid? And this is a 15 marker question. So there was, what is Medicaid and differentiate between them and the warm core tropical cyclone. So if I have to think from the perspective of student, this is a 15 marker. Obviously, it will not be 7.5 and a 7.5, right? This will have comparatively lesser weightage. Okay, this would probably be 5 mark, this would be 10 mark. Okay, because Medicaid is also a new thing, so you should know in detail. You should also show it to the examiner in detail. And how many points will you have much of difference? 7, 5, 6, 7 points. So that will have this. What is Medicaid has more weightage. So the answer should have more weightage given to what is Medicaid. So this is your Medicaid. This is the diagram that you can draw. Now in dealing in detail, dealing with Medicaid in a bit detail. Okay, so here you can see this. The Medicaid, basically they are very rare. They are a very rare phenomena and they are not as intense to tropical cyclone. So, ये बहुत ही rare है and they are not as intense as tropical cyclone, and the speed is also not very great. So, the speed is 30 to 70 miles per hour. So, they are rare phenomena. They are not as intense compared to tropical cyclone, not as intense, and the speed is also less. What is the conditions for the formation of Medicaid? The condition for the formation of Medicaid is sea surface temperature between 15 to 26 degree Celsius. So for tropical cyclone it is 21 to 26 degrees Celsius, but for Medicaid it is 15 to 26. So they can even be formed at 18 degrees Celsius. Therefore they are comparatively cooler to tropical cyclone. If I say other conditions is there should be incursion of the cold air. You need to incursion of the cold air to induce atmospheric instability. So this is one of the conditions that is specific to Medicaid, that there should be some cold air that should have been inculcated to induce the atmospheric instability. Then we have Coriolis force. We know for any cyclone you need Coriolis force. There is your low wind shear. We have seen it requires comparatively low wind shear, and one of the things that you can write here is that baroclinicity plays an important role. What is baroclinicity? See, when we mention about any type of cyclones, any type of cyclone, it will have, so if this is your temperate cyclone, if this is the temperate cyclone, okay, if this is the tropical cyclone, if this is the tropical cyclone, these system are tertiary system, these system are tertiary system, okay, this is a low pressure and there is a high pressure, okay, though they are tertiary with respect to the extent, but vertically the tropical cyclone or the temperate cyclone, they extend, the influence extend up to ट्रोपोपॉज, इनका इन्फ्लुएंस ट्रोपोपॉज तक जाता है, वर्टिकल एक्सटेंड इनका इतना होता है. So there are two conditions that play role in formation of any cyclone. One is the thermal condition, and the second important role is played by baroclinicity. Okay, what is baroclinicity? Baroclinicity basically refers to, just know very simply what is baroclinicity. You need not go in detail too much. Just know that baroclinicity involves the interplay between the density and pressure. So it involves the interplay between density and pressure. Now the density and the pressure. Generally, what do we say? Generally, we say that if there is more density, there is more pressure. If there is less density, there is less pressure. Okay? So this is we say because of the baroclinicity. So what is baroclinicity? This is because there is an interplay, some interplay between density and pressure. So in the cyclone, there is not only the thermal condition which is responsible for the formation of cyclone, but there is also baroclinicity condition which is also responsible for the formation of cyclone. We already know that the tropical cyclone is warm core cyclone. The tropical cyclone is the warm core cyclone. Okay? And we know the temperate cyclone. The temperate cyclone is a cold core cyclone. It is a cold core cyclone. So here also, in a temperate cyclone, both things will play an important. Temperature will play an important role. Even the baroclinicity will play an important role. Which one of the two will play bigger role? The baroclinicity plays a bigger role compared to temperature. In compared to tropical cyclone, the temperature plays a very important role as compared to baroclinicity in the formation of cyclone. So this is the basic that I have tried to cover. Why have I touched upon this? I said here in the formation of Medicane, we said baroclinicity also plays a important role. So what are the conditions for the formation of Medicane? The conditions for the formation of Medicane is the sea surface temperature between 15 to 26 degrees Celsius. You need Coriolis force. You need baroclinicity plays an important role, and you have low wind shear comparatively. Just not the low wind shear, but comparatively low wind shear as compared to tropical cyclone, right? And the incursion of the cold air to induce atmospheric instability. Now, so we are studying what is Medicane. What is Medicane? Medicane is the Mediterranean hurricane, low pressure system developed in the Mediterranean region. We saw the diagram that is needed to be drawn in a such type of question. You can draw a world map, and we said the conditions for the formation of the Medicane. That is the 15 to 26 degrees Celsius temperature, Coriolis force. Comparatively, the wind shear is weak as compared to the tropical cyclone. Okay. Then moving on to the structure. Okay. So when we move on to the structure, this is the structure of Medicane. The structure of the Medicane. This also has an eye. This also has an eye which is cloudless. This also has an eye which is cloudless, which is rainless. You can see this also has an eye which is cloudless and rainless. So they are the low pressure in the eye. There is low pressure. The eye is cloudless. The eye is rainless. There is this warm eye. ठीक है, warm eye usually formed within the existing cutoff cold low. There is an existing cutoff cold low surrounded by symmetric rain zones. So this eye, the eye is cloudless, the eye is rainless, the eye has low pressure, and it is cut off. The eye is cut off from the cold low. So there are cold, it is cut off from the cold low, and then there are symmetric clouds. There are symmetric clouds around the eye on the either side, and there is converging winds at the eye that you can see. So it's like the structure is more or less similar to that of the tropical cyclone. Now you can very smartly put ठीक है, you can very smartly put the case study as in why this concept was in news, and you can also write about the impact on human settlement. Like, despite the low wind velocity, they lead to the torrential rainfalls, they lead to flash floods. So despite the wind velocity being low, and then you write a case study. If you write a case study, if you draw diagrams in the answer, you definitely get extra marks. ठीक है, so case study. So you can write the case study that cyclone Ianos was developed in the Gulf of Sidra on the Libyan coast. ठीक है, we know. So this is the Mediterranean Sea. You know that it is Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya. Along the Libyan coast, there was cyclone Ianos developed in the Gulf of Sidra on the Libyan coast, and then later on it intensified to become the low pressure was developed, and later on it intensified to become a Medicane, and this made a landfall in the western Greece. So this is your Italy, this is the Greece area, and it made a landfall in the Greece area. Here the diagram has also been shown. So this is the diagram that you can see, the Gulf of Sidra, the Greece, and the landfall. And what was the impact? The impact was there was destructive storm was developed, destructive storm in Italy, Malta, Crete. See how smartly the regional examples has been used. Okay, so you need to be very smart in using the regional examples in a question like this. So it led to storm in Italy, it led to urban flooding in the Greece. There was damage to the agricultural crops, cotton crops, and this was seen in the impact of the Medicane Ianos in your 2020. Now, coming on to the second part. The second part is about the difference between the Medicane and the tropical cyclone. So, what is the difference between the Medicane and the tropical cyclone? So you would write about the parameters, the time, the geographical location, the sea surface temperature, and the factors that control. What are the factors that control? So when we compare Medicane to the tropical cyclone, you can say that the time of occurrence. The time of occurrence, we know the tropical cyclone, they occur in late summers and early winter, but Medicane, they generally can occur in any time, but most commonly they occur in autumn, and they are least in summers. So they are least in summers and the peak is in autumn. And even for the tropical cyclone, the peak is in the autumn region. And if we say the distribution, obviously it is the Mediterranean region area, and this is the tropical region area. We have already seen the difference between the sea surface temperature 15 to 26 degrees Celsius, and it is greater comparatively 26 degrees Celsius, and surrounding degrees Celsius. These are controlled by, more important role is played by baroclinicity as compared to temperature, and here in the tropical cyclone, the temperature plays a bigger role than the baroclinicity. And then you can say that though the Medicanes, they are rare phenomena, but with increasing global warming, there is increase in the frequency of the Medicanes. Okay? That is, you can now then give an example of the Ianos Medicane. So they were once rare, but in future there is high probability that we can see more of Medicanes, like we've seen the cyclone Ianos. I hope you liked the video. Stay tuned. Thank you.